Now to my explainer tonight, and here on the explainer, we've kept our eye on the election calendar to let you know some important dates that are coming up as we prepare for the August 9th general elections. So here are the next important milestones to look out for going forward. Now, next Monday, that's May the 9th, will be exactly 3 months to the election. And by this time, those in coalitions need to have their agreements lodged with the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties. But listen, it's also about the voters, and the IEBC is preparing for them too. So there is one date, however, that has already elapsed. You see, the IEBC suspended the continuous voter registration on the 4th of May, which was yesterday. In a Gazette notice, the IEBC announced the suspension of new registration as well as the change of registration of voters both in Kenya and the diaspora from the 4th of May until the 13th of March 2023. Now, this is to allow for the important process of verification, which brings us to the next important date on this timeline. Okay, so now voters now have 1 month to verify that their details have been captured correctly in the voters' register. This follows a gazettement of the voter verification process. So that means you now have between the 4th of May and the 2nd of June 2022 to check that your details in the voters' roll are accurate. Now, if you find that your details have not been captured correctly, you can now make a claim to the registration officer to have them corrected. And let's pause here for a moment, because the IEBC has just tonight released a statement saying that this is how you can check your details. You can send your ID or passport number, depending on which you use to register as a voter, to the number 70000. Once again, send your ID or passport number to the number 70000 to check your registration details. You can also do this online on their portal, that is verify.iebc.or.ke. And if you find any issues, then you visit your registration center to have them corrected. Now, in the meantime, the elections management body is also moving to recruit the short-term election officials that will conduct the elections. If you wish to work for the IEBC during the election, you have until May the 6th to make your application. The IEBC has announced over 400,000 job opportunities, and they include ICT clerks, polling clerks, logistics officers, presiding officers and their deputies, and many others. The applications are being done via IEBC's online portal. Now, already, the county and constituency returning officers and their deputies, as well as those of returning officers responsible for the election of Kenyan citizens who are living outside the country, have already been recruited and their names gazetted. And also note that it is the constituency returning officers and their deputies who will be responsible for the verification of the voter register that is currently underway until the 2nd of June. Now, this next date is the subject, as you know, of great political discourse in the country at the moment. The IEBC set Monday, May the 16th, as the date by which political parties and independent candidates must present the names of their presidential and deputy presidential candidates. Now, the same date also applies to candidates for the county's governor's seat and their deputies. Now, towards the end of the month, the process of the formal nomination by the IEBC will take place, where the independent nominees and those from political parties will now present their credentials to the electoral body for formal nomination. Now, in line with Chapter 6 of the Constitution, they will need clearance from the EACC, the DCI, the Higher Education Loans Board, and the Kenya Revenue Authority. Now, they will also include their nomination certificates from their political parties. And this process is scheduled for the 29th of May all the way up until the 2nd of June. Now, the nominations for the presidential election will be happening from May the 29th to the 6th of June. And they will present their papers to the chairperson of the IEBC, who is the returning officer for the presidential election. Now, this was gazetted on the 28th of April, and the nominations for the Senate elections is scheduled for the 29th of May to the 31st of May, and they will present their credentials to the county returning officer. Now, the aspirants for the seat of the National Assembly will present their papers to their respective returning officers, and that'll be happening between the 29th of May and the 31st of May. Now, it will be the turn of MCAs from the 1st of June to the 7th of June, and they will do this with the county returning officers. And for the county women representatives, they have between the 1st of June and the 3rd to give their papers to their returning officers. And finally, of course, there's those aspiring to be governor will go before the county returning officer to present their papers, and they will be doing it between the 4th of June and the 7th of June. Now, once they have been cleared by the IEBC, they will now officially be candidates for the August 7th general election. That's my explainer tonight.